Hello and good evening one and all to oNiD's round 2 of the Hound GT3 Transatlantic Showdown. We bring you to the Icard Lake at the Road America circuit here stateside for the full course, just shy of 6.5 kilometers. A beautiful temperature today of 28 degrees. Little, well, it's a chance of rain 92%, so anything could happen here this evening. But in the comments booth with me before we do proceed to qualifying, which has just got underway, it is the wonderful Scotty. Good evening.
Good evening indeed. It is great to be here. Wonderful circuit, Road America. Great balance between straights in the first half of the lap for some great racing, but a nice technical, especially middle sector, that makes the lap quite enjoyable. Second round series, it's a very strong opening round for the European drivers, or the drivers in European cars. Europe currently leading our Showdown Championship by 155 points, 686 points to 531 for North America. Let's see if America can claw some points back today to make sure that they're still in the hunt. Firstly, they'll be looking to get on pole position, and we're already a few minutes into our qualifying session. Drivers are on their first flying laps already. So let's have a look and see who's going quickly and who might have a chance at pole position.
Indeed, let's go up to currently just shouting who is leading the field as it stands, and look at that, and that's a Mustang of a car. What a livery as well.
Yeah, Very interesting livery for the Ford Mustang, obviously representing America in the series. P5 finished last time for Shelton. They'll be hoping to improve upon that, and currently with provisional pole, it's looking good for them. As you can see, some sector times at the bottom. There's personal bests. Yes, new personal bests coming in for Shelton. A lot of personal bests coming in as we see Dominic fastest in the 5th of 6 sectors that we have around here. Can the Mustang, currently sitting in P6, put themselves to the top as they come up to the line? No, they do not. They do improve in time, but not in position in the end. So we see Yori Shore pick themselves up to 18th. Victor Norinsky and Philip Staples going up to 5th and 6th respectively.
Indeed, the fastest lap for Shahabi. Actually, Chavez then gets straight away 203.551. New fastest lap in the Stang. Ford Mustang there, repping quite a few Mustangs tonight as we see times coming thick and fast. We are going to try and follow them as they come across the line. They are alone qualifying, so they are not sharing the circuit per se. They are just on their own private lobbies, let's say, of the circuit, so they have no traffic. They can just focus on setting their best lap time. 3 laps they have in a 15-minute time period. For now, Carter goes up to 2nd, but Chavez over half a second, almost 0.7 of a second to him and the nearest car, which is the car we're watching here, Aiden Carter.
Yeah, so Aiden had a good start to the series. Finished 2nd last time at Daytona. Can they go one better this time? We're back looking at Dominic, who's dropped now down to 13th position with their 2-minute 5.0. Chavez at the top, 2-minute 3.5, nearly 7/10 clear of Carter in 2nd. As these are actually most of the drivers' final flying lap. They only get 3 laps in this quality session, so they better make them count. And of course, they will be starting the race on these tires they're using in qualifying. So they've got to make sure they don't make a mistake, don't go for a spin and damage the tire, as that could help them or hurt them at the start of the race. But now Dominic up towards the line. They've personal best first 3 sectors, final sectors personal best. And they...
13th, no improvement.
Yeah, stay 13th. See a couple of times improving further down the field as Shahabi puts themselves back up to P2. Shelton into P3. Just about 4 attempts down. We now go on board with Aiden Carter, who's had, again, personal bests through 1st, 2nd and 3rd sector. Not gaining time in the 4th and 5th sector. Can they pull back some time in final sector to put themselves into the top 3 up to the line? And it will not be an improvement this lap for Aiden Carter. They'll stay P4 at best.
Absolutely. Stefan Granby gets to the line. Does not improve.
Up to P10.
I'm all down up to P10, yeah. 204.775. I did double take there for a minute. Yes, up to P10. Let's have a see what Kozlov is doing in that. McLaren comes to the line, 206.2. Is it an improvement? It is, up to 16th for Kozlov. Ben Brown next to finish a lap, currently down in Losum 23rd. So a group of about 4 cars around the same point in the circuit, so we're trying to run these laps as quickly as they come. Just waiting for the final few corners in the Acura. The very few Acuras here in this championship currently, but nonetheless being wrapped well in that oNiD livery. And the car 22 goes currently 23rd, going through the last few corners. We'll hopefully see him improve as he goes uphill into the penultimate turn. Final turn, a little bit wider apex, but can get away with curb usage on the exit, so not too much of a loss, but comes to a line and will go 2057. Does that improve in time? He does, up to 8th. good lap from him. Tomlinson will now come to the line. Where's he going to jump up to? Currently 27th. He comes to the line, stays
27th.
Stays there. Oh dear. That is not good. He does not have another lap in. Oh, he does have another lap. He's going to go for his final flying lap. Back Tev in 24th will be next to the line, very closely followed by Jarrett Page. You see Dan Tomlinson just starting his final lap. He will have time to complete it. He's got about 3.5 minutes to do so. So he'll be absolutely fine. However, a time just drops off the board there of one of the other drivers. I think it just invalidated their lap and his return to the pits. So it's now all down to back to Heaven Tomlinson. So Ilias comes to the line in that Mustang, car 988. Personal best, couple of sectors in there. Not a vast improvement, unfortunately, but we'll see what you can do as he comes to the line. It's going to be 208 dead. Is that an improvement? It's not an improvement. We will stay put. Dan Tomlinson, last person on a lap, as Baktev will return to the pits very shortly. That was his qualifying done and dusted. As we just await for the efforts of this Mustang. Goes a little bit wide through that fast right-hander. Not too much time lost there, and he will be able to get away with hopefully not get a track limits. If he did get a track limits, this will be a lap done and dusted, but he's still pushing. So it says that he's going to continue for a lap.
Personal best, first, second, and fourth middle sectors. Only not improving in that third sector. Lost half a second, though, on their best time through that third sector. So quite a bit of time there. Personal best, fifth sector as well. So through the final corner now for Dan Tomlinson. Important corner to get right as you fire yourself up the hill towards the start finish line. Their current best is a 2 minute 7.9 as they come across the line now. We wait to see, is it an improvement for Dan Tomlinson? It is 2 minutes 7.5, though it only gets them up to 26th position, and they will be the last car to complete a valid qualifying lap.
Well,
Steve still lapping, but has used up their 3 qualifying laps, so they can push on. Try and set better that time, but it shouldn't count according to your timing screens.
Yep, absolutely. I think Dan Thomas is just pushing on for another lap, maybe just using up the qualifying time. It's a bit of practice to maybe get used to the circuit and find a little bit of time, see if you can find any time going forward in the race. For now, back to it's going for another lap. It won't count. If it counts, I'll be very surprised. Comes to the line. Shouldn't count, but it would have been a time. It's not. Yeah, it's not going to let him count it. He's just pushing just because he can, and I think for now that is going to be qualifying done and dusted. It's just waiting for a session time over now, really, aren't we?
Yep, session will run out the full 15 minutes and then it will end. So drivers just getting to use the time for a final bit of practice, though are putting a bit of extra tyre wear into them, which might disadvantage them slightly at the start, but that is their choice. Hopefully they don't live to regret it too much.
Indeed. Now, just wait for qualifying finish. We'll bring you the full standings for our only race this evening. Fuel will be a question. Of course, with this championship, fuel tanks are limited to 70%. So a 70, I believe it's a 70-minute race, if I remember correctly. I should really remember these little facts, Scotty, shouldn't I?
Yeah, 70-minute race, 70% fuel tank, as you say. We are expecting one stop in this race. So the pit stops we've seen last week all came around the halfway point of the race. So I wonder if we'll see the same again. Of course, Road America a little bit different. You don't have the long, flat-out banked sections that Daytona had, which might make it a little bit easier to save fuel, might allow them to have a little bit more variance in strategy. But here is our full qualifying grid.
Indeed it is. It is Chavez on pole from Shahabi, Charlton, Carter, Narlinsky, Lloyd, Bottleston, Brown, Holmes, De Silva, your top 10. It's Gamby, Stock. Then down as we try and get there we go, try and get the thing to work. There we go. Staples 13th, Orla 14th, Demtrick 15th, Elector 16th, Kozlov 17th, Watts 18th, Royal 19th, Pinder 20th, Scorer 21st, L 22nd, Morgan 23rd, and Baktev 24th, Ashford 25th, Tomlinson 26th, Williams 27th, Jarrett Page 28th, Blackin 29th, and Ovsden in 30th. Sorry, Noah, I'm completely butchering that last name. Osbalston. Got you help me out on that one.
Osbaldiston.
What you said.
Sure.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, Alfie and Noah not setting lap times. Or Alfie did say a couple of laps. Neither were valid. I believe Noah not setting lap times, and I don't believe has taken to the grid. Looks like we're going to have a full formation lap for tonight.
Indeed, we are.
Will take a little bit of time. Road America, quite long, is the second longest track on the calendar, just behind Le Mans, which will be our season finale.
Indeed, it will be.
Give
And
drivers time to get those tires up to temperature and get themselves prepared for our race start.
yeah, absolutely weaving to get the tyre temperatures in, but it looks like, yeah, just thinking, it's a Connexus one too. It doesn't quite show on iRacing for some reason. Not sure if they just registered under their teams or not, but that is Connexus Motorsport on the front row. It's a front row lockout for them, for the Ferrari and the Mustang.
Much better showing from North America this time. In fact, they lock out 10 of the top 11 spots, I do believe. Or it might be, sorry, it might be 9 of the top 10. Yes, 9 of the top 10. Alex Shahabi, the lone European car in the top 10, starting from second. So it's looking good for North America to take some points back. As a reminder, they're 155 points behind coming into this race. The totals for the two regions, 686 for Europe, 531 for America. So it is a good chance for America to claw that gap, claw that deficit back down, and make sure that Europe don't run away with this championship. Of course, we've got the overall series for the drivers as well. Alex Shahabi leads that after winning last time out. I have Ian Carter and Noah Osbaldiston, who was in third last week. Starting from back for the grid, though, I don't think has taken to the grid for this race. They could be dropping down a bit. Of course, we've seen quite a few drivers having difficulties, quite a few mistakes throughout the grid from last week. Even a couple of drivers who unfortunately got caught up in other drivers' mistakes. They'll be looking to bounce back and get a better result this time. And of course, there is the within region battles. The European drivers fighting amongst themselves and the North Americans. Of course, Alex Shahabi leads the European drivers. Aidan Carter leading the North American drivers. So plenty of championships for the drivers to be concerned about and to fight for. They'll be...
Yep, absolutely. So we're just wait. Oh, the sound of those cars. Oh, beautiful. If a little bit a bit too loud on Twitch. Just in time, says Netraxa. Absolutely, formation lap is underway. The safety car will now start to pull away. The leaders will try and just manage that gap for the safety car to pull back into pit lane, and we will be soon be going racing for our 70-minute race this evening. 70 minutes of racing, 70% limited fuel tanks. Pit stops will become a need for these drivers. We are enforced to at least one pit stop this evening just because of the fuel tanks. But who can fuel say no compulsory pit stops needed, but we are about to go racing for the second time this season. Connexus front row. who's going to be holding it out for the front row of the race? Are the Ferrari and the Mustang going to fight out for each other? And the Mustang gets away very well, quite early, even before the lights go out. But now green flag racing, Chavez gets away very well. Shahabi, Shelton, Carter, all very close together. Carter thinks about a boulder over the inside on to P3. Shelton gives way, side by side for P3. And that is a move for the podium position, up a position for Aidan Carter. In the background, Flector and all have dropped positions. Potential instant there, we'll get back to that in a minute. Jarrett Page also dropping a position. But apart from that, looks relatively calm throughout the field. And the lead is going away well. Chavez to Shahabi connects this lead for round 2.
Falsett has had a bit of a poor start already, down 4 positions. It looks like we might have had a bit of an instant couple of off tracks from Dan Tomlinson and Yuri Shore, and there they are, both cars spun through turn 3, I believe that is. They'll get going again, but unfortunate start for them. They were all right towards back of the field, but it'll be even more difficult in contact. Further up, Ronnar Bertolfsson and Aidan Carter dropping down the field now.
Oh, that's massive contact, and that's a shunt as well. Aidan Carter facing the wrong way. And there's another car spinning in sympathy as well. That is, I said, meatball flag for Aidan Carter as well.
So Aidan will have to come into the pits at the end of this lap, up to P3, into T1, but down to the back now, not even halfway through this opening lap. Alex Shahabi continues on in second place. Shelton retakes third place. Everyone else then benefiting from that mistake, and Ronnar Bertolfsson getting caught up as well. This is what happened. Aidan Carter defending into turn 5 into left-hander. Goes in. Shelton trying to come back on the outside, and just as they try and get the power down, spinning the wheels up. I think Bertolfsson did same, and then collected by the number 26 occur. I believe that was that 26 or might have been 25 of David Da Silva. Oh, yeah, that is not ideal for Aidan Carter, who has towed back to pit lane.
That is not going to help his championship standings. And it's not going to help for the Americas either. They both went to the pits. And it said David Da Silva, P11, I think that was the other Acura, that indeed did take the shunt with Aidan, is in the pits. Let's see if we can get a camera view of him. Oh, there he is.
Yes, they're opting to pit in and repair that damage. Noah Obeldistan's, apologies for butchering the pronunciation. It's a tricky one to say quickly, but they have left pit lane. They are at the back of the grid, but they are going. I don't think they are actually. Yeah, not sure on that one. But yeah, we look out back towards the midfield. Ivan Orlov fighting with Francesco Falsetta, who's regained some positions after their poor start, where they dropped down to 20th place, now up to 14th place, and Ivan Orlov fighting with Marley Watts, who's down in 15th place, up 3 positions. So from where they qualified, they will still be a little bit disappointed after they finished P4 last week. So currently 11 positions off of that position. Philip Staples and Ben Royal now getting past Ivan Orlov, who's just kind of been left out to dry as they fight in this midfield. You can see in the background Corvette, Ronnar Bertolfsson looking to try and make up some places after their little spin at turn 5, where Aidan Carter had that spin, and Janice Shelton, who was in P3, is dropping down the order, and they're off the track coming out of the carousel.
They are indeed. And I think that was potentially, maybe... Oh, that's an awkward place to go slow. They make it work. I just looked away for a brief moment and then saw a car on the apex through that fast right-hander. Let's see what happened to Shelton. And he's already off track here. So he's already had an off.
I think he just spun it, lost the rear end on the exit, kind of similar to Aidan Carter. That's a very odd snap. The car's snapping around so quickly. You wouldn't expect that from just spinning the rear wheels up on traction. That'd be more like a pulling the handbrake and locking the rear brakes in some regard. But yeah, tapping the front barrier will have a bit of front end damage. Doesn't have to pit. Doesn't have a meatball flag. So we'll continue on in this 2x2 train with leading with Marley Watts and Falsetta in the front row. Shelton and Philip Staples in the second row of it. Shelton goes around the outside. We'll try and get alongside the portion now of Marley Watts. We'll have to go around the outside of turn 3 as well. Can they pick up another position? They're braving it around the outside. The Porsche is going to leave them the space. And now it's going to be a drag race down towards turn 5. This time the Mustang will have the inside. Look at the grunt, it's pulling itself clear before they get to the braking zone. How much will the Porsche fight this on the outside? As they come into the braking zone, the Porsche isn't giving this one out. They're trying to hang it the long way around over the curb, and they stick it there. They'll now be side by side over the crest into turn 6. Mustang still on the inside and will take the position now. Back up to 14th place. Marley Watts trying to defend 15th place from Phelps Staples in that Ferrari.
Is indeed. I just noticed something. John L, what the hell have you done to the front of your car? Trying to look up and down the field to see if there was anything that is noted for John, but he's limping. Well, not limping. He's actually managed to get ahead. But that Porsche looking a little bit second in the background. That was a Porsche going very wide out of the carousel, and in amongst all that, a couple of cars going right through that fast right-hander as well. Oh, and we have a car off in the background as well. That was Richard Ashford, potentially. Indeed it was. Rejoining the circuit and coming back onto it. So we'll be happy to say that he's going to continue, but maybe just a bit of embarrassment there. Have we lost Scotty in the background? I do wonder.
No, just, sorry, got a little distracted. But yeah, quite a few drivers making mistakes just running wide as we see Alfie Flecken into the pits for an early pit stop. Car doesn't look too damaged from this angle.
Oh, and he's having internet issues as well.
Yeah, a little connection issue. Maybe did have an incident. But we go back to John Earl, who's now trying to defend from Kozlov, who's both these drivers making up places. 5 places for Kozlov, 11 places gained for John Earl so far this race.
I don't think that was actually, sorry to interrupt you, I don't think that was actually a defensive. That was actually John Earl overtaking for position, but the McLaren's sending it right back at him. Late on the brakes. That McLaren is good on the brakes. But the Porsche will get the over-under on the inside for the next left-hander. No front bumper, no problem for John Earl. Just promptly shows the McLaren the door.
Yeah, a little bit forceful there. It's very awkward to go side-by-side through that left-hander of turn 6, as you have to turn the car in while going over the crest. So the car tends to just understeer, making it difficult to run side-by-side through there. The McLaren on the outside, just showing the grass, as he said, from the Porsche. I can't imagine they'll be too pleased with that. And now Shelton trying to go round the outside in the Mustang, round the carousel, will get themselves alongside, and the Porsche does leave them space and will slot back into line as they go through the kink at turn 11, down towards Canada corner now. Can the McLaren get in the slipstream, trying to come back? Will they go for a dive into Canada corner? I think they're having a look. They'll tag the rear end of the Porsche, spin it around. And yeah, maybe a bit too much aggression from those drivers.
Oh, potentially, and that's going to be a wait. He's now got a gap to rejoin, but John L all the way down. It's Shelton's had a spin as well. Just trying to get him on the TV as well, but the timing tower jumping up and down like an absolute madman. Oh, it's a massive shot. What in the world's happened here?
I wonder if one of them has spun coming out of the final corner and then just sideways across the exit of the final corner being collected. That would be my best guess. So we see a couple of cars coming in to pit in. John Earl, Charlie Morgan and Kozlov.
Ooh.
So, that was
why.
Ooh.
That's Kozlov coming off circuit, rejoining. Let's get it from right at the start of that instant. So he's off circuit. He's going to rejoin. Oh, that's a shunt.
That is not unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. You can see Kozlov is maybe wanting to go to pit entry, but as they're coming on track, there's a train of cars coming up, and they just show complete neglect. And actually, prior instant before that, so coming through final corner, just run straight into the back. That is, completely unacceptable driving from Kozlov, running multiple people's races.
I think he got a tap from behind, though. That's the thing, from that Sky car, that Ferrari. That was my only thing. I don't think he was I don't think he was completely to blame in that.
But the rejoin is all on him, and yeah,
The rejoin, yes, but
not seen.
the actual
That's
reason.
one of the worst
yeah,
rejoins I have seen.
I know, but it's the instant himself for him to be there in the situation. I don't think initially was on him, but the actual rejoining, yes, that was somewhat questionable.
We'll move on to those that were lucky enough to avoid that carelessness. And we're looking now at Bakativ, who's running in P18, up 6 places from where they qualified in that wonderful looking ample Red Bull Mustang, of course based on the 888 Engineering Australian supercar livery.
Yes.
And they're trying to get up to the back of Falsetta, who's caught up a little bit in that those prior incidents, dropped back to 17th place. Now they've had a bit of a yo-yo race, fell down to P20, got back up to P12, and now find themselves down in 17th place as we Shelton coming into the pits this lap. Obviously deciding that their damage, their damage a little too much to handle, having lost their rear wing now. So yeah, pit stop to repair that. We've had quite a few drivers through pit lane already this race.
It's lost his rear wing here. I'm just trying to figure out how he actually lost that. Wait, it's off track here. It's happened
Before this, I wonder if he lost it when he hit the concrete wall there. I'm surprised he didn't come into the pits and for that, but he come through here again, just loses rear end, much like he did out of the carousel, and that was a very small hit there to pull the rear wing off.
Well, we have our answer. It does wait for a safe rejoin, but I think he's initially not realised he has a rear wing. He's continued on the assumption that maybe he's dirty tyres, it has lack of downforce. And then promptly realises, hold on a minute, I have damage, I need to go to the pits. And it has come out in 25th with a new rear wing, but one of the leaders, or one of the leading contenders, shall we say, back further down the order. We spoke a lot about Connexus Motorsports at the start of the race. They are still currently leading 1 and 2, but another one of their team members down in 9th trying to fight their way through the field. Nigel Stock in front of him of Joe Pinder. Car 62 will very shortly potentially make a move down the inside as the slipstream is America versus America, but it is not a change of position for now, as Joe Pinder will just bear with him. I think he wanted to try and make a move up the inside, but I've thought better of it for now. Oh, Aidan Carter's got another meatball flag.
Oh dear. From bad to worse for Aidan Carter as they try and start their recovery drive. Already a lap down on our leader, and a lap is a lot to be down here. It is a long lap.
There's instant Richard Ashford as well for Aidan Carter.
Yeah, so Ashford in the slipstream, closing up in the McLaren, and then just runs into the back of Aidan Carter, who gets it slowed down, gets it going again, pulls some gravel back towards the track, and then I wonder if they just have a bit of rear end, maybe a bit of diffuser damage that means that eventually they end up spinning the car a bit onto the grass into the right-hander of turn 7.
We're about to find out. I think this is where the meatball flags happen. Here we go. This is high speed, and it's probably all coming. Oh my word!
Shredding the bodywork off the car, but you could see as they came through the turn 13 apex, were just too much onto the curb, unsettled the car, and trying to correct the subsequent slide, just put into the wall, and will be another lengthy pit stop as Nigel Stock is next car to deposit their rear wing off of the track. They'll get going again on the exit of the carousel, but I wonder if that's a similar spin to what we see from Shelton not too long ago. Here they are through this long right-hander, and then just lose rear end, front into the wall, and car starts rolling back, and the Porsche just nicking the rear wing as they come past.
How? Oh, going to the back of the wall is not going to help his cause either. But just enough of contact, light as a brushes with the Porsche, removes the rear wing, and I'm very much hoping he's going to get a meatball flag. However, nothing's showing on our screens or a timing tower showing he's going to get the meatball. Let's just hope he's realised he's got no rear wing and he's going to go into the pits for repairs. He's not, and he's going to continue, and this may be bad to worse for Nigel if he goes to turn one not realising that his rear wing is now non-existent. It's going to cause some issues. Manuel side by side with Dan Tomlinson, and that's the silver door-to-door contact along the straight. They're still side by side in the turn one. However, the Acura looks to, and as we said, there's Nigel going round.
Dan Tomlinson getting a little nudge just as well. Alex Shahabi dropping down the order off the track. This coming out of turn 7 in the middle sector, pulling some grass and dirt back onto the track as Joe Pinder catches up to them. Luckily, doesn't look like the damage is too bad on the car. But big mistake for driver in second place.
You know, he's already off track.
Championship leader.
He's already had the spin there. I'm just trying to find. There it is. That's the replay we need. Through the carousel. Yep. No, that's not the carousel. That's middle sector. And
yeah, turn 7.
Turn 7 and count as a wall for good measure. Oh dear. Well, that's going to cause damage to the front of the car. It's not been shown the meatball. So obviously not enough damage on there to warrant iRacing to say to Alex, "Oh, we need to come into the pits for repairs." But now he is still going. But as we said, with Nigel Stock losing his rear wing, going into turn 1, as I suspected. On the brakes, turns in and goes, "Oh, hello rear end, I have no grip." Whoop.
Again, lost the car very late into the corner. Not when he really loaded the car up to turn it in, but when he's picking up the throttle on the exit. It does seem to be with these fixed setups that we have in the new tire model that GT3s have on iRacing. The car's just very unstable. As we see Dan Tomlinson, is that showing a black flag?
Is. So that will be track limits and a slowdown he still has to serve. Now, I think there has been an update with the timing tower. We can see the flags that you're getting. So if that's a black flag, that's going to be either slowdown penalty and whilst he's out on circuit, so hopefully it will clear in a minute, or it's purely going to be you'll need to visit pit lane for a drive-through.
Yeah, as we see a McLaren up ahead, that's Richard Ashford recovering after a spin for themselves, and Uri Schroer dropping down a couple of places as we cut to this battle. In this midst of this battle, led by Ivan Orlov at the moment in 13th place. Marley Watts looking to the inside into turn 8 is going to send it in under braking as two McLarens side by side in the background. That's Shorey and Falsetta. Falsetta now trying to make a move on Orlov round the outside of the carousel as they come through the long right-hander. Marley Watts breaking away from this train now as they fight side by side behind the McLaren. Squeezed onto the grass on the outside, and they'll drop to the back shore, and Bakativ making up a place in the slipstream now as they come towards Canada corner. Will we see any moves? The McLaren coming out of line as Yuri on the brakes, looking to the inside of the Fry. Fry's going to try and hang it the long way around, not able to carry enough momentum, and might even get passed by the Mustang here, side by side into turn 13. The Fry very cautious on the inside, and they'll allow Falsetta to get back past Ivan Orlov, losing 4 places in the span of half a lap.
Oh dear. So that's going to be an interesting fight back if Orlov wants to get those positions back in that yellow Ferrari. Still perplexed about P20, I'm not going to lie. I think that is just a black flag, and Dan Tomlinson will have to serve that sooner rather than later. And indeed, he actually does come to the pit lane. I believe this will be a drive-through.
Which is going to be quite costly here. It's a long pit lane alongside the start-finish straight. Drivers will be quite big speed delta. between pit lane and the track. But Dan, obviously a lot of the cars behind Dan have already made a pit stop for damage repair.
Aidan
So he'll
Carter's
not
car
lose
still
as
there.
much.
That wreck of a car.
Still repairing that second damage as Dan now comes out of pit lanes just as Terry Williams and John Earl come through. So Dan out in 22nd.
It
Will
is.
carry on as both Williams and John Earl pick up off track for running a little bit wide at turn 1.
They do indeed. And it was definitely drive through. That black flag now being cleared. 20 minutes into our 70-minute race, and the standings, although a bit manic because I just dropped my mouse, that's convenient. Daniel Chavez leads the way from P1, 6.3 seconds to Victor Narninski. John Lloyd third, Ben Brown fourth, Ben Holmes fifth, Dimitruk in sixth, Shahabi seventh, Pinder eighth, Gamby ninth, and Staples rounding up your top 10. Pit stop still yet to come. Order is never going to be set, so we'll see what happens as we go into the race with 50 minutes to go.
You're sure with an issue from 14th position. That's off at Canada Corner as we see this fight starting to come alive again. The Mustang trying to defend from Falsetta. This is what happened. Joy Shore just missing their braking point, knocking the car slow down and taking a trip through the gravel. That would cost them 1, 2, 3 places.
Oof.
That mistake, so quite costly. And you can see the McLaren, they're trying to make a move on. The Mustang not able to make it work yet is Falsetta, but they're certainly putting the pressure on the Mustang driver for 14th place as they come into turn 1.
Indeed they are. And the Ferrari behind is that yellow Ferrari of all of recovering isn't too far behind either. Remember, you did lose all these positions a few laps ago, and about a series of 2 or 3 corners in the final sector. Is now looking to regain those positions, and it is only helping him to catch back up if these two guys keep on fighting, the McLaren and Mustang. Falsetta got the slipstream. Back to him, however, I think will have the straight line speed. No, he pops out on the slipstream, does the McLaren, actually on the brakes into turn 1, 2, 3.
Turn 5 though.
Was it turn 5? 1.
Yeah,
2.
for some reason there's a corner. Turn 2 is a little right hand kink between what you would think is turn 1 and 2, and then turn 4 is randomly just on that sort of back straight between on the run to that left-hander. Yeah. Odd numbering. But
yes.
yeah. Catches me out all the time.
Every day is a school day. Well, for now, no, regardless of corner names, the most important thing is the position. It's Falsetta ahead of back 10.
Orlov ran wide there and
got a black flag.
Yep, that'll be a drive-through for incident points for Orlov. Won't stop them from using slipstream and sorry, not use slipstream. Now, Yuri Shore picking up the slipstream and using it to pass the Fry, which will take a trip through pit lane as the Mustang still trying to fend off. We're getting back past the McLaren now, back up to 14th places. Philip Staples losing a couple of positions at the final corner.
Yes, indeed. And Garrett Pedros now in the pits as well. But that was a position change for Philip Staples. Let's see how that happened. I have a feeling Philip went off circuit. Indeed he did.
Yeah, just had a little wobble in the mid corner and correcting it, ran themselves out wide. Will lose 2 positions there, 1 to Ben Royal, another to Runar Batofson. But we'll keep going, which is more than what can be said for a lot of people who have taken spins, banged off walls in similar circumstances. So all considered, not too bad as we head back to the McLaren and Mustang, who are fighting once again. This time it's become a 3-way fight as Yuri Shore gets involved now. They get to the inside of the Mustang, down towards turn 5 braking point. We've seen last time the Mustang not too confident on the brakes, using a lot of the entry curb there. And again, will lose a spot into turn 5 as up over the crest into turn 6 now go the 2 McLarens. Wonder if Shore will be able to put pressure on Falsetta to try and get themselves up to 14th position.
I'll definitely try. Not that far ahead. As a Mustang in his rear view mirror, he's got to be cautious if he has another spin. I think he's been finding it difficult through this carousel section. I think lots of drivers have, to be fair, so he's not the only one. but needs to be sure he can keep it pointing in the right direction. He goes a little bit wide, and that's not going to help his cause. And he runs wide through the carousel, and yet again, we see another victim of a mistake going through that long right-hander.
Yep, again, another one lucky to keep it pointing the right way, not go for a full spin, and will only lose one place, which I'm sure they'll be able to catch up again in the not too distant future, as we're still in the first half of the race, still waiting of pit stop. So quite a portion of the field have already pitted, as we now go to Ben Holmes, who's been slowly but surely chasing down Ben Brown in front of them for P4. They gained half a tenth last lap, but the gap has just been slowly decreasing. They've now got to the point where they're in the slipstream heading towards turn 5, not close enough to go for a move on this opportunity. So into the middle sector, difficult to find to make an overtake through this section. But they'll just try and keep the pressure on, try and sort of push Ben Brown into a mistake, though I'm sure being two members of the oNiD team, they'd rather sort of make a clean move and not have Ben throwing the car off like we've seen from some other drivers, as Reinhard Betolfsen has found their way past Ben Royal for the final top 10 position. But we watch these two through the long carousel now. Can see the difference between the drivers from last 2 laps. You can see in the background, Demiak closing in, has gained nearly half a second over the last 2 laps.
Yeah,
only 2 seconds back. So if these two start fighting, you can be sure that's going to become a 3-way fight. So how much does Ben Holmes want to fight? How much does he want to get ahead of Ben Brown, at the risk of making this a 3-way fight and have to start defending from the Mustang that is closing in?
Indeed, they are not closing in yet enough to make an effort to make a move. Bottleson, P10, 11th and 12th are quite close together. So let's see how close these guys are. It's going to be interesting to see, because I think Ben is just recovering from a probably poor race start, has managed to get back up 8 positions. He did just qualify, actually to be fair, he did qualify 19th, so he's plus 8 positions as it stands. So it's good showing from him. His Astra's dropped a couple of positions, and he is going to rejoin back down in 23rd. What happened to you, good sir? I don't think we're going to get actually we are going to get an answer. I have a feeling this may over the brow, side by side. Oh, what a camera shot. In the inside. Oh, there's a bit of a door bang. But up the inside goes Charlie Morgan, and actually takes that position quite forcefully.
We talked about how difficult it is to go side by side through that left-hander of turn 6 with the crest as you enter the corner and turn in, as we see another drive-through penalty, this time for John Earl, having breached track limits a little too many times, picked up too many instant points. Looks like that last one, it came on the exit of the final corner. So they will be taking a trip through pit lane soon.
They will do indeed.
And not to take their sort of necessary pit stop of the race. Also noticed a little while ago, maybe about a half lap ago, Baka Teve in the Mustang had an off track and lost a few positions. So it seems like they made a mistake, as we cut to a battle here as Shelton closing up on Dan Tomlinson, going around the outside of turn 3, and will take P20, though Dan will slot into the slipstream. Will he try and come back towards turn 5? Make a move under braking? He's closing in with the slipstream. Doesn't, pulls out now. Will he go for a move on the brakes? No, will stay behind as they make their way through turn 5.
I think that battle's now settled down. You had a mention about Baktev having an off track. Let's see what happened. He did lose a couple of positions, and oh, that is off track, and that is very much electing to go and build some sandcastles. The bucket and spade being the front and rear diffusers, but he has kept going. But that was the reason for his loss of positions. And I think, as we go jump back to Shouting, has been able to hold position.
Yeah, so we've seen then the Mustang just putting a couple of wheels on the grass as they turned in for the final corner. Obviously, then that doesn't give you the grip to make the corner. We cut back up to this fight for P4. Ben Holmes still putting pressure on. Ben Holmes gained a 10th last lap, but just keeps falling back a car length or two, which just allows Ben to relax a little bit. Hasn't been able to keep within those couple of car lengths to apply real hard pressure to have the slipstream down the straights and attempt an overtake on the brakes as Aidan Carter finally emerges from the pits, only to have a black flag and to head back into the pits to serve that drive-through penalty. It has been a horrible time for Aidan Carter, and it's not getting better any time soon.
Oh, Aidan. My sibling from another mother. They're gonna love me to hear. They're gonna watch stream back and they're gonna hear me say that. I think they're just gonna cringe, quite rightfully so. We're cringing at a drive-through age, and don't worry, as he comes back out, 4 laps down, unfortunately, but is continuing nonetheless after what was a torrid shunt earlier on this race, completely destroying the car. However, not giving up, which is the main thing. Ben Holmes, however, closing on Ben Brown. A battle of the oNiD members, one of them being an admin, so yeah, watch out for that. As Ben Holmes getting quite... Actually, both admins, should I say. So, battle of the admins, as Ben Holmes is actually the admin for this championship, organising everything Discord side and also electing to take a place behind the wheel of that Chevy. It's going to be Chevy versus Acura as they go down to was definitely turn 5, not turn 3. And the slipstreams, you're going to pull out and elects to brake just a little bit earlier. Then Ben Brown to just hold position in 5th. Demchuk, however, in 6th, still somewhat closing. The gap has opened up a little bit prior to when we did last visit these drivers. Ben Holmes just looks a little bit more threatening this past couple of laps, especially with his lap times. John L comes into the pits for his 2nd drive-through. I lost track of how many people have had drive-throughs, to be perfectly honest, but John L falling foul to it once more, potentially.
No, I think that's his first. He's just opted to hold off on serving it for as long as possible. Of course, the long laps here means that, yeah, you use all 3 laps. I believe you're allowed, that's about 6 minutes you're waiting to serve it. But we also have Dan Tomlinson in, as well as Jarrett Page, as we're approaching the halfway point. As we had a bit of a long off track for Baka Teef, who's dropped quite way back from the cars in front of them. So it seems like, yeah, they have made another mistake, but we'll continue watching this battle for P4. Last lap around, Ben Brown set a new personal best, 2-minute 5.0. Ben Holmes still was quicker, 2-minute 4.8 as they come up over the hill and across the line. We'll see what they do here on lap 16. Even quicker, 2-minute 4.8 now for Ben Brown. Ben Holmes a little bit slower, 2-minute 4.9. You can see the times are at the bottom of your screen. So Ben Brown starting to find a little bit more pace, showing that they just want to hold on to this P41 to open the gap up a little bit if possible. And we can now see the mistake under braking for turn 5 for the Mustang on that curb. Swings the car in quite aggressively, a little too aggressively as they lose rear end through mid corner. Right behind, just able to take avoiding action as the Mustang takes a little scruff against the wall, trying to get the car turned around.
Yes, indeed. That's a very long front nose. He does find the space. He gets a J-turn on and then was able to continue, but bad to worse for him. Really, it's been a bit of a torrid race.
Yeah, it was looking good not too long ago, having made up a good number of positions. Wasn't too far from the top 10, but yeah, a couple of mistakes more recently, and yeah, they've kind of lost most of the progress that they had made. Mistake for Ron Arbutolfsson out of turn 5, it looks like, in the same spot as Mustang, and yeah, just bashing up against the same wall that the Mustang hit, trying to get the car turned around. Shows you just how easy it is to make a mistake, how unstable these fixed setups are. See a replay of it again, under braking, not using as much of the curb on entry, but just turned the car in a little too aggressively. The rear tires not taking, especially as I tried to pick up the power. And yeah, it goes for a rear end. Again, a little tap, trying to get the car turned around. Not able to flick spin the car on the throttle, and so we'll have to take a awkward 3-point turn, waiting for some traffic and a little nudge against the wall for good measure. Though I have just noticed Falsetta over the last lap has closed in on Marley Watts, as from P6 on the grid, Dominic has gone to the pits. First of the pit stops, Alex Shahabi following them through. Shahabi, first of our European cars in the field from P7. Joe Pinder following into the pits as well. As we continue watching this battle, Falsetta trying to make a move on Marley Watts, who is defending into the final corner. If McLaren can get a good exit with the slipstream, might be able to make a pass where they come into the pits. Yes, McLaren coming into the pits, attempting the undercut on the Porsche.
Don't blame him. If we're struggling to get past on circuit, it's always a good shot to try and go for the undercut, and the track is long enough, the pit lane is long enough, if you have a good pit stop, to actually give it a good go. Shahabi, Demetric, Pinder, Rosetta, Ashford getting a black flag. 22nd position will have to come in to serve a drive-through before he can even think about doing his pit stop for the race.
Get back to this battle in P4. Ben Brown starting to open that gap up, put another 3/10 between them and the Corvette behind on the last lap. So now over half a second between the two of them. And we have Dan Tomlinson in the chat saying that the Mustang is going firmly in the bin after this championship. Struggling with it. Not the only driver to struggle. We've seen most manufacturers have a car in the wall at some point. We've seen Mustangs, we've seen Corvettes, we've seen McLarens. All the cars are proving to be somewhat difficult for our drivers this series, as we have race leader Daniel Chavez into the pits, being followed by Victor Norinsky, as we are past that halfway point in the race.
Indeed we are. Ben Royal and Ben Brown. No, Ben Holmes and Ben Brown, should I say. I'm confused between my Bens. We do have a Ben Royal. He's in 7th. It's the two Bens in 4th and 5th. I've also elected to come into the pits, and indeed they will come for pit stops. Not mandated. You don't have to pit, but it is very much necessary. These fuel tanks are limited to 70%, near enough enforcing you to take a pit stop. For now, however, it is John Lloyd that has inherited the race lead.
John Lloyd must have the field to go one more lap, using more than all the carb coming into turn 5, but that must be allowed under iRacing. Phelps Staples also carrying on for another lap. And will take 2nd place. It'll be interesting to see if the overcut, running an extra lap here on low fuel, is able to benefit these drivers. Maybe a slightly shorter pit stop too, if they're not using as much fuel, can help these drivers to gain some positions.
Indeed it can. Now
I'll tell you what won't be happening is John Lloyd just had a bit of an off track. Looks like they've continued going, but just losing a little bit of time certainly won't be helping them, as we have most of the field that haven't pitted in and coming out of the pits now. And trying to see if we've had any big changes. Ben Brown still in front of Ben Holmes.
Black flag, however. I do apologise to interrupt you for isn't net PT, but currently P2. Just had an off track in Staples, and that's given him a drive through.
No, I'm very much. I would assume that Philip Staples is able to delay that drive through to take their pit stop and refuel the car this lap round. Otherwise, they could be in quite a bit of trouble as John Lloyd has got themselves to the pits. There they are trundling through in their Corvette. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they come out. Ben Brown here, hang through the kink. Can see Ben Holmes 2 seconds back now as we cut to Shelton making a move up the inside of Ben Royal into turn 8 just before going into the carousel. That is up to 11th place. Will be within the top 10 after Philip Stable's pit stop and drive-through penalty. Maybe P9, though I'm not sure. I don't think they're quite close enough to get in front of John Lloyd.
I just wanted to the reason I did jump to Ben Brown, he went off track in the carousel. Oh, that was sketchy. I have a feeling that might have been maybe potentially a little bit still cold tyres. There's no tyre blankets when making a pit stop, and there's no tyre blankets we start the race either, so maybe just pushing a little bit too hard to try and get those temperatures up in the tyres, but has able to hold position and will continue in 4th. As he was prior to the pit stops. Ben Holmes also retaining that position in 5th. That is Shahabi, who has made a pit stop early on, up to 6th position now. Is he going to have to make another pit stop? It depends how much fuel he has left, how much life he has left in that tyres. He's only about 0.6 of a second behind Battle for 4th and 5th, and actually looks to be somewhat of a net gainer after those rounds of pit stops.
Yeah, jumped in front of the Mustang Demonic. And in obviously will be in front of Joe Pinder when they has jumped Joe Pinder as well, I think. Still the highest placed European car, luckily has been joined by Stephanie Gamby in P9, who's made it to European manufacturers in the top 10. Philip Staples is there currently, but of course still has to serve that drive-through, so that'll drop out as we see Charlie Morgan going for a slide after being bumped in the rear by Yuri Shore, and that will not be ideal for either of those drivers. We've seen a few penalties already for instant points. That will be an extra couple of instant points for both of them, bringing them a bit closer to a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, and that was a nudge. oNiD on oNiD. Now that's going to go down well in the Discord. I'm sure they're both talking to each other and apologising to one another, I'm sure, but that's front nose damage for sure in that 36 McLaren.
Yes, we have Alex Shahabi now trying to recover after a mistake earlier on in this race. Was up in P2 behind Daniel Chavez, dropped down to P8, I think it was, has got themselves back up to P6 through the pit strategy, and is now challenging for P5. We also have Jenna Shelton on the back of Philip Staples, but they'll claim this position either way when Philip Staples come in for their drive-through penalty, which they do now. So luckily for Shelton, they'll stay in free air and be able to push on, not get held up by the Ferrari driver. So we cut now to Shahabi, trying to get into the slipstream of the Corvette driver for them, trying to minimize the damage that North America will be putting on Europe in this round with, as I said, 8 of the top 10 cars being in the North America category. A bit wide there for the Corvette. You can see how much Shahabi closes up, how close they are coming into turn 6. Not an overtaking opportunity here, but again, wide for the Chevy once again, and that allows the Ferrari 3 up into P5 goes Shahabi. Next car is Ben Brown, 3.2 seconds up the road. It seems like Ben Holmes really struggling at this point. I wonder if they're struggling on older tyres.
Quite potentially. As Aidan Carter back in the pits. Interesting, just to note that. That'll be his 3rd pit stop this evening, and he's going to be quite a regular to his pit box, I'm sure. And they'll appreciate I'm sure his pit crew will appreciate the company. However, Ben Holmes not giving up that position yet. Shahabi not been able to pull a gap as much as he wanted to. Maybe Ben potentially had a bit of an off track at some point, maybe dirt on the tyres potentially, and would have enabled Alex to get close. But for now, just sitting happy in that slipstream, isn't he? Is is Ben. Nowhere near Tim close to making a move for turn 1. He's darting out essentially just to feel the wing mirrors. Maybe just trying to do a bit of a mind punt kind of to Alex. I don't think it's ever going to work on Alex, as he just remains calm, sticks to the racing line, gets the braking zone right, and proceeds down into turn 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah, just saying their last lap for Ben Holmes, 2 minutes 6.3. So yeah, I don't think any of these drivers have changed tires, judging by the sort of drop in pace. Looks like everyone is about 1 to 2 seconds slower this stint. That would be explained by them all taking on fuel but not taking new tires, so the car's heavier, a little bit more cumbersome, a little bit more understeery perhaps, but yeah, won't quite have the same agility and is slowing the drivers down. But obviously they feel like new tyres not worth the time loss that it would be in pit lane. Shahabi closing down the gap to Ben Brown. It was 3.2 seconds when they got into P5. It is already down to 2.2 seconds. So it is only a matter of time before Alex Shahabi gets on the back of Ben Brown. If Ben Holmes can follow Shahabi here, just use the slipstream to close up, Ben Holmes might be able to start that challenge that they previously had on Ben Brown before the pit stops carried on, and see if they can actually get themselves in front and back up to P5. Still a little bit of a way to go before they close in. Just need to keep it clean and tidy. Slipstream, of course, helping them, but of course, fighting through the dirty air a bit as well.
Indeed, and that time delta does not give an accurate representation of the gap.
Yeah, of course, Shahabi did pit 1 lap earlier than a lot of the cars around them. So they go for that 1 lap undercut, and it seems to have worked in a way for Shahabi. They have appeared a little bit further up, even though the pit time for Shahabi isn't any shorter. In fact, it is a little bit longer than the Ben in front and behind Shahabi at the moment. So yeah, Dominic did actually have a bit of a slow pit stop. It was about 2 to 3 seconds slower as Ben Holmes runs a bit wider. That's going to drop them out of the slipstream for the Ferrari, which isn't going to help in their chase down of Ben Brown.
No, that's killed.
Shahabi.
They've killed their chance of trying to get back past in order to regain the time again. We'll go back to replay just to catch that. It's right in the background. Oh, a little more on the curb and off onto the grass. Able to regain it, but ugh, what a horrible way to just to kill the gap between yourself and the car ahead. It's very difficult now for him to get back up, and I'm sure the lack of slipstream now will not be helpful for him.
Yeah, Ben Holmes seems to be struggling to adapt to the car balance now after the pit stop. Just running wide, missing apexes, having that little twitch on the exit of turn 3, trying to put the power down. I mean, we have seen a number of drivers struggling with that. Fairness to Ben Holmes, he kept the car pointing the right way, didn't spin it off into a barrier, as we've seen a few times. But yeah, Leonard, Dominic behind, he's starting to close in with that mistake. As we say, Terry Williams just putting a couple of wheels onto the grass in the braking zone. The ABS kicking in, car not slowing down, taking a trip all the way to the barrier on the outside of turn 8.
Promptly littering the track with gravel. The marshals in real life would be cursing at the driver for doing that. Thankfully,
mistake for Janice Shelton as well, dropping down from P11. Here they are, coming through the kinks. So that'd be a mistake at the carousel, those we've seen a couple of times already.
That's front end damage, and it has been a crash. Let's see what happened. It's carousel again. And around she goes. Oh, catches it, but then gets caught back on the and doesn't hold the brakes. Oh.
Luckily, the car's just able to avoid the Mustang.
Just about. That was a rolling roadblock, and indeed going to promptly go to the pits, and that's going to be another stop for damage.
Yeah, which is not ideal for Shelton. They were challenging for the top 10, and now they're going to drop to the lower reaches of the top 20 if they stay within the top 20. We go now to Batofson, who's been trying to chase down Philip Staples, gained a couple of tenths last lap, and with the slipstream is closing in towards T1, but not quite close enough for a move just yet, but certainly putting the pressure on if they can get a good exit out of turn 3, which they're heading into now. They'll be able to get a slipstream on the run to turn 5 and maybe make a move there in slipstream. Can see starting to close up a little bit on the Ferrari of Staples, who of course remember had to take that drive-through penalty just after making their pit stop. Ferrari going defensive, holding the inside line. How brave will the Corvette be on the brakes? Is maybe a little bit too brave. Runs in deep, too wide, and will not be able to stick it around the outside. Philip Staples fending off the Corvette for now.
Lives to fight another day. And that will be a welcome sight for Staples, who will be able to keep that car behind just for a little bit longer. Joey Shora, pardon me, losing a position. And we'll just see how that happened. And up, oh, this fantastic camera angle. They're going to be side by side at the corner, aren't they? On the inside is De Silva. I have a feeling that Jory kind of saw that coming from a mile off and said, you know what? If you want to go up the inside, you have it.
Yeah, as we've seen so far this race, it's really difficult to defend from someone being on your inside into turn 6 just with the crest. Very difficult to hold it round the outside, get the car turned in and to carry the momentum. So yeah, Shorey just realising that fight was lost and was sticking on the back of the Acura. Will be trying to put a little bit of pressure on, but just doesn't seem to quite be able to catch up. Last lap, David De Silva was 1.7 seconds quicker than Troy in the McLaren. So you would expect the Acura to be able to drive away. In terms of qualifying, De Silva was up in qualified P10, Troy only P21. So, yeah, still a bit of difference between those drivers as De Silva trying to make up for some ground lost earlier on in the race.
There's that oNiD branded Acura of Ben Brown wobbling on the brakes into turn 8 for the carousel.
Through the long right-hander, Javi running wide onto the grass, pushing maybe a bit of understeer from the dirtier air as Batofson and Staples are fighting over 13th a little further back. But yeah, Shabi just running wide there ruins this opportunity that they'd have on the run to Canada corner. We'll have to wait for another opportunity. Meanwhile, further back in 23rd, Terry Williams picking up a drive-through penalty for instant points. They're going to come in and pardon me, serve that immediately through the final couple of corners now. 13 into 14 now. Shahabi again will be trying to set up move, trying to get a good exit, a bit more curb usage on the exit there for Shahabi, trying to get throttle down, pick up the momentum, and now in the slipstream as they come up over the crest to the start finish line, closing for Shahabi, but is it going to be close enough into T1? Well, it might be a high speed into T1. It's not the biggest braking zone. T1 fairly quick. Shahabi closing in even with the dirty air. Might have a run here. Ben Brown defending to the inside through turn 2 into turn 3. Ben cutting back over to the racing line. Getting very authoritative with their defense. But Shahabi, another great run off turn 3 is in slipstream again. Closing. Will Ben Brown cover the inside? We wait for that defense. Shahabi looking to inside, Ben Brown covers it, so to the outside, Shahabi goes. Are they going to switch back to the inside? No, Ben Brown just holding Shahabi at bay for now, but Shahabi again, faster through the corners, good look to the inside for turn 6, but again, Ben Brown just has it covered off, looks to the outside, but as we've seen so far, this race has not a move that is easy to pull off. Shahabi will have to wait for another opportunity now as we get into the middle portion of the lap where it's just a little bit more technical, but it does seem to be the technical parts of the track that Shahabi is just able to close in, putting the pressure on all over the rear bumper of Ben Brown. Any mistake from that Acura and the Ferrari will make their way through as Philip Staples and Batulfson still fighting side by side. A lap later, here they are, fighting down the back straight through turn 4 towards turn 5 now. Ferrari on the inside, Chevy on the outside. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? Batulfson trying to hang it the long way round. Those Ferrari getting their braking point right with the inside will hold on to the place. Staples in 13th, Batulfson in 14th.
Very good indeed. Richard Ashford has just had quite a big off-track excursion. Let's just see what's happened to him. Car number 7 is it? Oh, what happened there?
A very odd instant there. Maybe a technical failure for them, which would be very unfortunate just with how the car didn't turn in. Yuri sure having an off-track and picking up a drive-through penalty for instant points, and it wasn't a small off-track either. They've lost about 10 seconds with that, but this battle still raging on between Staples and Batulfson. Batulfson with the slipstream closing up through the kink. Will get to the inside through the corner of the Ferrari's going to try and hang it the long way round the Chevy. No choice but to leave space for the Ferrari on the outside, and up to turn 13. Ferrari on the inside. The Corvette is going to try and send it the long way round, which they do. They get themselves back in front. Batulfson, great move around the outside 13. Back up to P13, but you can guarantee that Philip Staples isn't going to give this one up. They now have slipstream as Ben Brown and Alex Shahabi have had they're coming together, I think, both losing places.
They have indeed, and let's see how that happened. Down into turn 5.
Yeah, Shahabi in slipstream looks to the outside track, thinks but does send it down the inside, and Ben Brown turns in. Well, Shahabi had the nose down the inside, and then they nearly come together in the runoff area facing each other. But yeah, tensions rising as Shahabi just getting a little more frustrated, went for the move, and calamity on the apex of turn 5.
Yeah, Shahabi's a net loser out of that. He's gone down to 6th position. Demetrick's got past.
Yeah, but Ben Brown in 7th place has lost out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So the gap now 1.8 seconds between those two. Staples and Bottleson still going at it. But that gap's now extended to about 0.5 of a second. Whilst you're having all this fun, I just realised you've only got 13 or so minutes left.
Yes, we are going towards the end of the race. The field quite spread out again. A lot of instance for a lot of people. We can see, was that 6 cars retired from the race so far.
Yeah.
With 1 DNS as well for Noah. So yeah, it shows how difficult this race has been for drivers, and we have a couple of cars. Shelton still in the pits, Ashford in the pits as well. Only 21 people running on track at the moment. This race claiming many a victim.
Yeah, 6 drivers out, in the 7th one. Noah not starting the race, sadly, and is not taking any part in this race meet. Things have started to calm down a little bit. We have 21 cars on track, 2 of them in the pits. Ashford and Shelton electing to take pit stops the dying moments of this race. I think one of them is actually a drive-through. Actually, no, they're both in their pit box. I do stand corrected. However, we do continue to fight as Ben Brown. Did you just have another off-track? Did our Ben Brown?
Ben is up to 16 off tracks. There are some quite high numbers on this off track list, including Leonard Deminick, who's up to 19. So they cannot be too far away from getting a drive-through penalty. With 11 minutes still to go in the race, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see 1 or 2 more. Just how easily drivers have found themselves running a little bit wide. The tyres maybe struggling a little bit too towards the end of this race, especially the front left. Quite a few right-handers, especially the carousel, how long it is, how much energy they'll be putting into the tyre. Might be overheating a little bit as well. I have to imagine it will be struggling a bit towards the end of this. Not
One would imagine so,
make up
yes.
any final positions.
Well, time will tell, and I can tell you now, God, I'm just going to wait for the perfect moment to say this next statement. Is... Wait for it. 10 minutes ago. Sorry, I just had to do that for, you know, apparent comedic value, which definitely wasn't there. 10 minutes ago, Chavez leads the way. Noninsky, Lloyd, Holmes, Downtrix, Harvey Brown, Pinder, Gamby, Royal. We said things might happen, and they certainly have happened. Some position changes up and down the grid, especially for Ben Brown and Shahabi, who's dropped from 4th, 5th respectively, down to 7th, down to 6th and 7th. After that coming together a few laps ago, Chavez has been relatively unbothered by the race. Started first, leads the way, all the way from race start.
Yeah, no one's race has been simple except for Chavez leading the way. The drivers closely behind him, the ones who were closest to challenging them, fell away either through incidents or mistakes. Yeah, Chavez unchallenged at the front, 7.5 second lead, which isn't too big considering we are an hour into this race. I've certainly had bigger gaps in the past.
Indeed we have, and looking forward to next week, whilst we've still got 10 minutes, 10 or 9, or almost 8.5 minutes left of this race. Looking forward to next week, we take the streets of Long Beach. Oh my. 30 odd cars we have signed up. We've had 29 start at this race and down to 21 continuously running. To imagine what we're going to have on a street circuit such as Long Beach. Walls either side, no room for compromise. If you have an incident, you're going to see a concrete wall.
Yeah, and we've seen how much drivers have struggled here. I wonder how many mistakes, how many people getting into the concrete walls we'll see next week at Long Beach. Be interesting to see how the drivers approach that one.
Hopefully avoiding the walls. That's the hope.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
That would be a good start, but I would say that is far from guaranteed with how this race has gone. As we are in this final 8 minutes now, drivers are just sort of a little bit spread out. This is the closest fight on track for 4th position. Dominic trying to close down on Ben Holmes, but saying relatively similar lap time. Only 0.04 of a second separated them last lap, and that was in favour of Ben Holmes. So extending the margin just ever so slightly as they now come through turn 8. Doesn't seem like Dominic has sort of quite the answer to catch up. As trying to look further in front. John Lloyd not too far, just within 2.5 seconds of Nurinsky, is closing a little bit, but again, I think it's going to be a little too little too late for them. Philip Staples has dropped back from Bertolfsson, lost a second last lap, so it seems like Bertolfsson, as long as they don't make any mistakes, will hold on to 13th place. They'll have to imagine they'll be a little bit disappointed down in 13th, having qualified up in 7th position. Drivers have had good races. The driver we're looking at now, Dominic, up 10 places from where they qualified in 15th place. Joe Pinder, another one running well, up 12 places in P8 from 20th on the grid. And Ben Royal, up 9 places from 19th. And so, yeah, those are drivers that have had good results. Those that have had poor results, you could say Alex Shahabi down 4 places in P6. Obviously qualifying in 2nd place. We mentioned Bertolfsson. David Dill Silva down 5 places, qualified 10th, now 15th. And of course, all the drivers sort of from outside the top 20, while even some of them are further up than their starting position. They've not been running well in this race. Mistakes, incidents, drive-throughs. Yeah, they have found themselves laps down in
Yeah.
this race.
Indeed. Good shout out there, actually. Just noted. This morning from Adelaide, says Kev. 1066. Good morning to you, says a good evening. From the United Kingdom, just past 9:30, 25 to 10 p.m. For us, and I'm presuming you being completely down under, it'll be about 9 o'clock in the morning for you. And how we get it on, says Kuriko Kuranami. This has been hectic. 5 minutes to go, and I'm still uncertain if this is going to be the finishing order, even though the gaps do look relatively spread out. Everyone's had their good battles. We've had some unfortunate incidents, should I say, for some drivers. Not, to name a few, John Earl, Tomlinson, Carter, not the only ones that have come afoul of track limits incidents on circuit. But for now, it is Chavez who has been uninterrupted, apart from back markers, as he comes across the line with 4.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, we do have a mistake back at Teve, showing us off track for a little bit. They've got about 15 seconds to the car behind them. So let's see from replay. Goes for a half spin, long way across, and does eventually find not a barrier but a fence there. Just missing the end of the barrier. Trying to figure out where that is. Can see
Turn
quite a bit.
3.
Turn 3, yes. Was that Orlov that went past?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so did lose a position. Orlov now up to 16th, Bakativ down to 17th. Yeah, with the gaps that everyone has at this point of the race, you'd think that, they're going to settle down a little bit. You can tell Chavez has settled down a little bit. Lost half a second to Narinsky last lap. Gap is down to under 6.5 seconds. So Narinsky closing in. Chavez just taking it safely. Has picked up 14 off tracks. Is probably thinking, yeah, that's enough. Let's not risk a drive-through penalty at the end.
Absolutely. Two Shanks 13, I joined a Mustang hitting the wall. Hello. Hi. As we say about a Mustang having an issue. Bottlesage just gone off circuit once more. It's not a Mustang, but it is a Corvette. It is the Americas, and I think it's just the off track going off turn 1, taken to the grass a little bit, but able to continue. Nothing too nasty, but picking up potentially a 1x for a off-track excursion, let's say.
Yeah, we'll not lose them much time, but we'll give them one more instant point. Hopefully, as long as they have a few to spare, it will not hurt them really in the long run. As we see Chavez come across the line, 2 minutes 20 left on the clock, so we will get 2 more laps around Road America. Chavez in the Mustang into T1 will be taking the first race victory for North America, as long as they can bring it home, not make any mistakes. But will still be the first victory for North America, as behind them 3 Corvettes, Narinsky, John Lloyd and Ben Holmes, making a trio, and Diminick making a All-American top 5 after Alex Shahabi's incident with Ben Brown. Alex Shahabi, one of 2 European cars within the top 10. It's them and Stephanie Gamby in P9. Marley Watts is the 3rd European car, just missing out in the top 10 in P11. So yeah, with that, I can say will be quite a strong showing from America this round. If you are just joining us, to let you know how the championship is between America and Europe. Europe leads the way after the first round, 155 points in front. It is 686 points for Europe, 531 for America. Whether this is enough for America to take the lead into Long Beach, we can't quite tell. But yeah, we'll be able to update you that next week when we return, as David De Silva has closed up to Philip Staples and is trying to make up one more place for America.
Oh, indeed. And Chavez is... Oh, that's a move almost for De Silva. Thinking about getting past the Acura. No, get past the Ferrari, should I say. The Acura on the inside. All things better of it. Dying moments this race, a final lap battle as Chavez does come to the line with about 10 seconds to go. We'll see one more lap. Final lap for tonight's race. Lap 35. And that's De Silva making a move up the inside. Staples going a little bit wide just before the carousel.
And that allows the Acura 3 for one more position. Was gaining quite quickly, was 1.6 seconds quicker, was De Silva last lap. So you can see how they managed to close in and make the move. Staples not holding back, using all of the curb at the exit of the kink, but it will not be enough to hold on to that final position. They'll have to sell for P15, which not a bad result. You could say, though, did drop a couple of places from where they qualified. We'll run back up to our leader entering turn 8 now. Half a lap to go for them before they take America's first win of the series. Absolutely.
Car 555 in that Connexus Motorsport livery. Driving for Team Connexus. Only got a few more corners to go. High speed section coming up with fast right-hander. And there's only 4 more corners to go before you can see the checkered flag. It's going to be a close finish between 14th and 15th. We'll keep an eye on that battle. But for now, the rest of the field relatively spread out quite evenly. However, one person that's not been phased is Daniel. He'll start the race and finish the race without changing position. Well, it does change positions, but only through the pit stops. Takes the race lead, holds the race lead, and will now cement it with a win. No more corners to go. It's just the acceleration up the hill to the finish line. Checker flag waves for Daniel Chavez, race winner, round 2 here for the oNiD Transatlantic GT3 Showdown.
Nurinsky will come home in second, leading a trio of Corvettes with John Lloyd and Ben Holmes making up the rest of that thing. Part, and Lennart Deminic will make it a top 5 for North America in their Mustang, flashing lights as they come across the line for P5. Alex Shahabi dancing with Ben Brown, dropping them to P6 will still be the lead.
Staples, where's Staples gone?
Car.
Sorry to interrupt. The battle for 40th and 50th, Staples had an instant. He's gone wide. I just disconnected. Oh no. So that's going to be him out of the race.
Yeah, we'll fall down to 17th, I believe they'll be classified as. Yuri Shore and back in 18th, finishing a lap down. In the meantime, Alex Shahabi has finished in P6, leading for European ahead of Ben Brown. He'll be a bit disappointed after that incident with Shahabi. Joe Pinder will take P8 ahead of Stefan Gambi in P9, second of the European cars. Ben Royal rounding out the top 10, making it will be the third European car, of course, the McLaren being European. So yes, 3 European cars in the top 10 against 7 American cars. Marley Watts will take P11, have Falsetta, Batolfson 13th, De Silva with a penultimate lap overtake on Staples to take 14th. Ahead of Ivan Orlov, he'll take 15th after Staples' unfortunate disconnection. And Bakativ taking a 16th, though showing promise for much higher, but a couple of mistakes throughout the race holding them back.
Absolutely. What 70 minutes we've had here this evening. Oh my. Race results for round 2 are as follows. Chavez takes the win from 9. Instantly Lloyd Holmes, Yemchuk, Shahabi, Brown, Pinder, Gambi and Royal, your top 10. What's 11th? Falsetta 12th. I was trying to pronounce that correctly. Bottleson 30th, De Silva 40th, Orlov 50th, Bakhtar back Tev, should I say? Back Tar, what am I saying back Tar for? Back Tev in 16th. Staples in 17th. Squirror in 18th. I'll go to stock. Morgan, Williams, Ashford, Shelton, Earl, Page, Tomlinson, Carter and Kozlov. Most of those cars, sadly, down from 23rd onwards, have had DNFs or are unable to start the race. Oh. And that is week number 2. Done and dusted for the SimHound GT3 Transatlantic Showdown. Next week, it's Long Beach. Concrete walls each side. It is the Monaco of the Americas. Of sorts. That's the only reference I can really make.
Yeah, it's the right reference. The first 2 rounds have been eventful, not necessarily in the side-by-side battles that we'd love to see, but more so in the mistakes that drivers are making. And if they continue to make those mistakes next week at Long Beach, they will be punished even more severely than they were or have been so far. That will end, Long Beach will end the first half of our series and the American leg before we get into the European leg that makes up the second half, where we head to Silverstone for round 4, Nürburgring GP circuit for round 5, and finishing off the series at the staple mark, Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans, a place we know quite well from Le Mans Ultimate at the moment. It'll be great to visit that on iRacing to round our series off. Europe were very strong and took a big lead in the first week at Daytona. North America has struck back here at Road America and may potentially have taken that lead back. Make sure you check in with us next week when we head to Long Beach to see what the championship standings are and see who can come out on top. Will it be Europe again, or will it be North America to lead the way at the halfway park? You'll only find out by tuning in next week at the same time. But until then, we also have a few series between now and then. We return on Sunday for the continuation of our 100 series, where we will be going to Interlagos, 100 minutes of racing strategy at play with a full field of hypercars on the Le Mans Ultimate. Make sure you join us then on Sunday evening, as then on Monday we have our GT3 MPG series on the Le Mans Ultimate. 65 minutes of double fuel usage in GT3 cars makes for some interesting strategy. That will be at Monza that week, and just to clarify, that will be the normal Monza circuit. Fuel saving will be most likely necessary. One stop, will it work this time at Monza like it has done so far this season? Probably not. So will the drivers be able to stop? Well, make sure you tune in on Monday to find out there. On Tuesday, we have the 3rd round of our British Stock Car Series on the original cell course. So we are going to the wonderful, and I hear a favourite of someone in this comms booth, Donington National. The British Stock Cars have been challenging so far at Croft and Castlecombe. How will drivers fare with it at Donington for a 20-minute sprint race and a 40-minute feature race with a mandatory pit stop? Rolling start and safety cars in action should make for some great racing before our Le Mans Ultimate Sim Hound Academy, which continues on Wednesday. It will also be at Monza next week. See how more inexperienced drivers fare through a 50-minute race, where strategy will be key for that one if drivers can fuel save enough to avoid making a pit stop. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday to see them in action before me and Aidan return next Thursday with round 3 of our iRacing series at Long Beach.
Absolutely. Folks, until then, take care. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Do not panic. It is Friday tomorrow. The weekend is still yet to come. If you want to come and show your support, do you want to come and get involved? Discord.gg/oNiD Community Racing. Links on your screen. Put that into your web browser. Follow our links on Twitch as well. I do believe our Discord is hyperlinked on our Twitch profile. Come and find us on Twitch. Come and find us in Discord, should I say, via the Twitch link. That's on the Twitch page. And also SimGrid. Join the community on SimGrid to sign up for our racing leagues. I think we're pretty much full for this season, but in about 4 weeks' time we rotate and we restart for the following seasons of racing, and that will be most likely your opportunity to come and get involved. Until then, folks, it's been a pleasure to bring you round 2 of the SimHound GT3 Transatlantic Showdown here on oNiD Community Racing. We will see you all very, very soon.
Good night.